bum, bum, bum.
Hello.
Hello.
I love that intro. It just kind of sets the stage for stuff here.
I do
All of
too.
the bouncing. We can put a little bouncing ball in here. Yeah.
We probably should do that. That would
Hello,
somewhere in
everyone,
there.
and welcome to the Power of You.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome.
Today, I'm Blaine Bartlett, in case you're curious.
I'm Doland White. I am not Blaine. I am Doland.
And we
He's
are your
Blaine.
hosts. We are your hosts.
We are, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In the green room backstage, folks, just as you're listening, this is a non sequitur, and it has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about today. But Dolan informed me that he was a trained tenor. He actually is. Yes. I knew he sang. He's got his own group, but I did not know that you were a trained operatic tenor. I've known you for some time.
I know.
He kind of ekes out every now and then.
I know. It's all the things. Oh yeah, I should. Yeah, I'm a tenor. Yeah, I'll admit it.
Well, when you get to be our age, it's there's a lot of stuff that. Oh God, I never told you that. Well, that was 70 years ago. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, there's a group I belong to where you go around and you go, "Hi, I'm Dolan. I'm a tenor."
There you go. So, what do we got in store today for the Power of You?
Oh my gosh, I'm really looking forward to today's conversation. Leaders, as you're watching this will be a fun thinking conversation for you today. Not that they're not all fun, but this is going to be fun. Something about management and leaders and the difference, leadership and managing and the differences and the nuances. So
it gets subtle. Yeah. Am I leading today or am I managing today?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things. When I was as a executive in a training company, which we shall remain nameless. I remember walking my team through this, and the befuddled looks of, oh, so that's not leading?
Yeah, no, that's not.
Oh,
that one is.
Oh, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and why is that distinction important to understand?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. I'm really looking forward to this conversation today.
So for those of you that are watching, and all of you that are seeing this are obviously watching. So those of you that are watching, keep that question in your mind. Why is it important to know the difference between leadership and management? Because it is important. It is important. It will have impact if you aren't getting this thing dialed in correctly.
It matters.
Power of You. Here's an interesting way to think about this, and I'm going to just kind of throw our slide set up here.
We have slides, and
we got slides, and we got slides.
We got the cool logo slide now. This is good. We're good.
And if you don't know the difference between leading and managing, here are some of the things that you can probably look forward to experiencing.
Yes.
Yeah, as your organization grows, and if you are in a small, solopreneur organization where there's you and maybe one or two other people, leadership and management, they're going to go back and forth pretty rapidly here. And it's going to be hard to kind of parse them out because you're paying attention to stuff just kind of as a matter of course, because the organization is simple enough. It's simple enough that you know where all the parts are. You know who all the people are. You can actually have conversations in real time, real quickly to just kind of correct. As your organization grows, you start adding layers, you start adding reporting relationships, you start adding processes that somebody's overseeing, and then you've got people that you're bringing in, and now you all of a sudden have got to, what's our culture? And it starts getting complex.
Mm-hmm.
Organizational complexity, if you're not paying attention to this, will lend itself more towards management and less towards leadership. And if that's all of a sudden going on and you're not paying attention to stuff, things slow down. It takes longer than it needs to. It takes longer than you think it should. It just takes a long time. How come we're not there yet? Resistance to change creeps in because all of a sudden now people have got, this is how we used to do it. We did this before, or we tried that before and it didn't work. So let's not even talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Communication, complexity. All of a sudden you got layers. You try to keep it flat, but you didn't quite succeed in keeping it flat. Now you got layers that need to talk through each other, and power differentials come into play. And who's taking the lead, who's doing the dance, who's, what music we're actually trying to dance to. All of that is communication stuff.
Right.
Risk taking. It's kind of like, I'm going to CYA. I'm going to cover my tail here because, blame starts to come in. All of this conspires to level set a lid. I mean, literally level set and put a lid on innovation.
Yeah.
So all of these things are kind of a function of not knowing the distinction between leadership and management when your organization starts becoming more complex.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I love this, when each time we do this, when we talk about symptoms and the fact that we move it to the front, right? Because now we talk about,
here's the pain point.
Here's what, but as a leader, notice these things. It goes back to, and you've heard Blaine and I talk about this before. If you've listened to this, if not, we have a curated environment where you can go back and watch all these. We'll tell you about that later. Little shameless plug. But symptoms, as a leader, notice what you're noticing, and it helps you get that understanding about, am I leading? Am I managing? Where are we with this? And do you, to the point, increasing change fatigue and burnout, right? There's when we are constantly pivoting. As a matter of fact, I shot a 60-second playbook this week on the fact that I keep screwing with my hummingbirds because I keep moving the feeder and they can't find the feeder. And it suddenly dawned on me that maybe they can't find the feeder because I keep changing its location, forcing them to pivot. And I keep moving, and it dawned on me, it's kind of like, as a leader, we keep moving the dang hummingbird feeder.
Mm-hmm.
So when we pivot, we keep moving the goal, and pretty soon your team stop engaging. They're not engaging effectively. They're looking for where's the goal now? Where we pivoted to what?
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what happens, whatever processes you've put in place, whatever systems you have supporting them underneath, it all breaks. And your hummingbirds can't find the feeder.
Yeah. And what's missing in that whole thing is, why is it meaningful? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All behaviors organized around meaning that people are making up in their minds about what's going on. Hummingbird feeder moves. The meaning that gets generated is whatever it is, but it also ends up guiding the people's behavior.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God those hummingbirds don't have teeth. Otherwise, I would probably be in trouble out there. Anyway, number three, open or not open, but over reliance on planning. Oh boy.
Again, you kind of go back to as you start growing the organization, you start, how do we keep things in place? We've got resources that we need to manage. We need to, all of this stuff. And here's what's interesting about the activity of management, the profession of management. Managers pride themselves on not having surprises happen. I don't want to be surprised, upside or downside. Neither one are good. You sandbagged me, or you didn't plan well. All of that stuff comes into play here. So you end up creating multiple approval layers to ensure that all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted, and nothing is going to get away from me. Yes. That is a big trap. And you go back to symptom number one, things slow down. All of a sudden, risk taking is, when I was doing work years ago with AT&T, Bell Laboratories in particular, it was after divestiture in the 1980s, when the big telephone system that was AT&T got broken up.
All broke up.
I'd walk into a senior leader's office, and we did a lot of work, just kind of reconfiguring. And I won't go into that story, but I'd walk in, and every single manager and every single line manager at AT&T had a credenza in their office, and on the credenza, they had that thing in the back of the desk, in the back of the chair, they had something that was called BOPs, Bell Operating Procedures.
Oh boy!
And it was, I think, if memory serves, it was like an 8-volume set of operating.
No way. Wow.
And if somebody came in and said, I'd like to do this, or I think we could, or can we?
Right.
Manager go, hold on just a minute. They turn, find the appropriate BOP, Bell Operating Procedure Manual book, open it up and go, well, no, it says we can't do that. It says we can't do that. And They had developed, obviously, they had developed all kinds of procedures for all kinds of contingencies. And at that time, Bell Labs, and this is Bell Labs specific, I think they had 12 layers of management.
Wow.
Now, when you think about an organizational structure, you've got a pyramid, that triangle, and you put 12 layers in there, you have got a very solid, rigid structure. And that rigidity did not lend itself to creativity, innovation, fleet of footness, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So all of this served to actually curtail their ability to be competitive.
Wow.
And so the leadership question was one that we really addressed with them. How do you begin to lead? Leadership causes chaos. Management is organized around certainty and predictability.
Yeah. That's so funny. That's really interesting. You could just see the amount of time it would take to go back through those, to go, hang on, I know I have it here somewhere.
I've got it here somewhere.
Let me go find it.
There's a rule about that.
It's in one of the volumes. And then last, I'll go quick on number 4, but number 4 had smiled when I was looking at the slides for this and thinking back to a time when there was this guy who was the CEO of a marketing company. And could have been me. And we sometimes as a leader, we're not aware of our bow wake. We don't know what the bow wake looks like. And by the way, for those of you who don't know what bow wake is, the bow is the front of the boat. And when you're driving through the water, it's the wake that comes off of the water. And if you've never done that before, or you can't get on a boat, then, call me and we'll talk about that. But the one thing is, the thinking out loud is interpreted as a director. I was in a meeting with my team. I had this brilliant idea. We discussed an idea. I discussed it in an empirical manner. And my team went away and executed on it.
And you went, what? Who told you to do that?
About 3 months later, this thing appeared, and I went, why do we have this? Which was indicative of other communication challenges in the organization. That was a different thing. And again, why do we have that? And then because of my bow wake, I was completely out of touch with the fact that I had put these things in motion. I had managed into motion, not led into motion, but managed into motion a team. And my team just went forward and just basically did what they were told. And that's what they thought they were supposed to do. They did it, and we had to undo it all because it was a what the hell moment. So,
it gets a little spendy if you're not paying attention to it.
Yeah. I had to explain that. So
these are not all of the symptoms, obviously. I mean, this isn't exhaustive, but these are some of the key ones. If you're wondering why we would want to pay attention to the distinction between leadership and management, the very simple answer to that is managers, like I mentioned just a moment ago, managers pay attention to predictability and stability. That's kind of the bread and butter of management. Set processes up, plan, all that kind of stuff. Leaders, let's just generate movement. Let's get things going. And it's chaotic. It'll bust existing systems. Mm-hmm. It will. If you're doing it right, you're going to bust the system, which it's crazy making for management. So there's all this push me, pull me dynamic that's going on.
Yes.
So here's when Steve Jobs retired, Tim Cook took over. Well, retired. I mean, he died. You talk about retirement. When Tim Cook came in and took Apple to that first $1 trillion market cap company. Management is efficiency in operations. Leadership is efficiency in people. I love that distinction.
Yeah.
It gives you a great focus on where the focus of each of these disciplines actually is.
Yeah.
Management is focused on operational excellence, efficiency. Leadership is focused on the people. Are we getting the best from our people? That's the distinction we want to pay attention to here.
Yeah.
So
powerful.
How we go about doing that, and you've seen this model. If you're new to it, go back and listen to it again, because we're not going to go into a whole lot of depth. But we talk about these two models every time we do these things. We talk about them in every client interaction that we have with our clients. Leaders operate within a universe, a very specific kind of a universe, and that universe has some very distinct coloration to it, if you will, dimensions to it. Most leaders will operate and are familiar and comfortable operating at why, what, and how, which is vision, strategy, tactics. What's the future? What's the best path? How do we execute? Why, what, and how? The leverage is when you begin working with mindset, because mindset is where everything is generated in terms of your understanding of what's important, why it's important, and the meaning of it. And all behavior is generated out of meaning. So study after study shows that 95% of a human's behavior by the time they're about 30 years of age is generated subconsciously, and that's in that mindset domain. So we want to be able to play with that, and this is why we ask the question: why pay attention to leadership management? Most people have a mindset around both of these disciplines that can either enhance or constrict what you're going to be doing. Spirit and soul, you're working with this well, you start tapping into and stay connected to that spirit, that aliveness. It creates innovation, creativity, and that's where the imagination actually comes into play here. So that leadership universe model, we use it because it gives us a way to think about how are we actually approaching what we're doing as leaders. And then that's all built on top of the 4 pillars, which is actually a very functional model about how you go about having these conversations and unbundling this sort of stuff and moving people.
Exactly.
So
there you go. That is all it. But together it really is. And I love the kind of that thought. I was thinking about mindset as you were going through that plan, and for those of you listening, we do this every time we talk about it, because these are important concepts. There's a couple of more that we're going to throw at you that we do every time too. But the 4 pillars, as Blaine mentioned, really are designed to, what do you do with it? What's the framework of trust? How do you create a team that's autonomous? Communication, transparency, growth, and innovation. Innovation is critically important. Innovation, I think there was a couple of hints around the innovation on the previous slide from management and leadership, the symptoms. And then, of course, being accountable, that commitment to and with each other to move towards a common worthy ideal. So there we go.
And then, this whole conversation, this power of you, the entire, and we've got about 30 of these episodes up, I think, on the curated library right now. And we're going to continue adding. We do these every week. So this is going to get pretty robust. We talk about leadership. It's everything about leadership. That curated library is anything and everything about leadership that Doland and I have accumulated over almost 90 years of work, together combined. Yeah. How we define leadership makes a difference. It's not about command and control. This is a mindset shift for many people. Leadership's the activity of influencing. It's a state of being. We talk about that bow wake. How do I show up before I open my mouth? I've caused movement. That's what leaders do. They cause movement. Right. Influencing in order to co-create ownership transfer. It's no longer just my idea. It's now our idea. How does that happen? There's a whole communication dynamic that comes into play here. You start moving into the unknown, which ideally you're going to be leading your people into the unknown, because that's what growth is about. So you don't know how to get there. So how do you coordinate movement amongst the people, the departments, the marketplace? I mean, all of that stuff, coordinated movement in pursuit of a worthy ideal. Now, this is different than a vision. A worthy ideal is where meaning resides. This is where, it's kind of like, I've got to get to work today because this is important to me. That worthy ideal is what we're after. And it's answered by the question, for the sake of what? Yeah. For the sake of what? That's a worthy ideal. Yeah. It's not the vision, not the goals, not the objectives. Yeah. And every for the sake of what will be unique. Yep. And this gets to be an interesting challenge for leaders and managers. Because if I got let's say I've got a 6-person team and we've got a new objective, something has happened. Now we've got to go in this direction. For the sake of what? Why does that matter? Right. I have to go around and I need to poll everybody in the team. At least ideally, I will do this. If we do this, and we're successful. What does that make possible for you that you wouldn't get to have, do, or be, that you get to have, do, or be, because we now did this or achieved that? That's a personal answer. I can't tell anybody why it's important to them. They have to tell me why it's important to them.
Yeah. Big difference.
Yeah. And that
Really,
becomes
really
their worthy ideal. That gets them out of bed in the morning.
Right. Yeah.
So,
oh boy, leaders and managers. I love this. I love this thought. Leaders make possibility visible. Managers make it probable. And they both, inside of any organization, there's leaders and managers. Matter of fact, a lot of times it's associated with your title.
Yeah.
I am the manager of.
Yep.
I am the manager of. And it's funny when I think about this, Blaine, because when we go back to the definition of leadership, and leaders make possibility visible, it is that co-creating, that coordinated movement that is moving a team together. And managers move that. They literally move that. Managers make that possibility, that co-created ideal, that worthy ideal. And the managers make that probable. They look at, how do I reason? Well, we'll get into a little bit more about what they do, what managers do.
Well, that whole idea of probability, turning it into probability. I mean, that's
the reality.
That's the human mind wants certainty. It looks for who am I and where do I belong? That's what management can provide, is an answer to this question: who am I? Where do I belong in relationship to this goal, this objective, this thing that we're doing? So now, if I can see where I fit, who am I? Where do I belong? Now I can begin to entertain the idea that possibility can be probable, because I can see how I can actually tweak and tune and work and play and kind of go forth and conquer all of that stuff.
Maybe we can do this.
Yeah.
Maybe there is probability. That's true, because without it's that clarity and confidence. Without that clarity, we create it's the uncertainty. Yeah. And uncertainty creates fear. Fear creates doubt. Doubt creates frustration. And there's an unraveling that occurs. So.
And it's very interesting here that leader-manager distinction, possibility, probability.
Yeah.
Management works with a question of how.
Yes.
And if you're not clear about, leaders don't work with the question how. Leaders work with the question about what's possible, what if, that sort of stuff. They are not concerned with how.
Right.
Leaders are not concerned with how.
Yeah.
Management is the function, the discipline that takes the possibility, translates it into a useful, tactical, executable how. Yeah. You get the how in front of the conversation and you stop everything, because people start fretting. They go, God, I don't know how we're going to do that.
How are we going to?
Don't worry about that right now. Don't worry about that right now.
It's funny how many people struggle with that particularly when you're in a meeting with leaders, and it is very easy to get grounded in the sin of how.
Mm-hmm.
And how begins to place limitations. And that I'm coaching a chief operations officer, and I have a call with her tomorrow afternoon to discuss a one sentence that I said that blew her mind, which was when you're a chief operations officer and you're number 2 in command, you have one job. Your job is to operationalize the strategy.
Yep.
So all that stuff, you got the how. Go.
Yep. And she went, what?
Exactly. So
I got to figure that out.
I could see the terror in her eyes. Oh, crud. That's what I'm doing. That's what you're doing. That's
okay.
What you're doing. Okay. All right. So, but so it's very, very, very true.
So the mindset of management, remember, going back to the leadership universe, we're dropping right into that mindset level.
Right.
The focus is on maintaining order, stability, predictability, and efficiency. That's the focus of the mindset of managers. And you bring something to the table, you bring it to their desk. If it's going to be disruptive to the plan, Where does this fit in the plan? I mean, all of that stuff starts to bubble up for them. It's not, because they don't want to move. It's not because they're not willing to entertain a new idea, but their focus, the mindset focus, 95% drives everything. Their 5% may be willing to entertain the idea, but the 95%, unless it's examined fully and understood in terms of how it's actually operating in real time, is going to become a barrier to movement. Or it can actually facilitate some elegance in your execution and efficiency, because they are looking for order, stability. They are looking for predictability. Where's the fly in the ointment? Let's work that out. This is what we end up doing. We did a whole series on Deming's quality, total quality management. Yeah. So when you start looking at, we've got a Scrum. Let's get together. The whole idea of Agile. It's all about management in the sense of maintaining order, stability, predictability, and efficiency. That's what that's about.
That's right. Pigs and chickens, baby. Pigs and chickens.
Pigs and chickens. Exactly. And you're going to find, that's because that's the focus. They're going to be organizing their behavior. Their calendars are going to be organized around planning, budgeting, staffing, controlling of resources. How do I allocate the resources? Chief amongst the activities is problem solving. Leaders cause problems, managers solve them. I mean, that's a very simple way to think about it.
Yeah.
Problem solving. And how you go about doing that is important.
Right. It's not always that description. We were talking about this a couple of episodes ago around on Power You with the description of what's your title. I'm the chief firefighter.
Yep.
That is what I do.
So I'm going to go looking for fires, and if I can't find one, I'm going to start one.
Right. Somebody take their matches, because that's not very elegant. Get their matches.
Exactly.
Take their matches, quick. Oh my gosh.
And the goal here, from a management perspective, is to reduce complexity in the process.
Yeah.
I want to reduce as much complexity as I can in the process, so that we can avoid surprises. Managers really understand that highly complex systems, there's the devil in the machine sort of a thing here.
It is.
If it can bite us, it's going to bite us. They're looking really to ensure that things are running smoothly.
Right.
And they're willing to ignore a lot of stuff. This is the default oftentimes is I'm not going to raise that issue because it's going to be more than we can manage right now. So let's just let that one sit over here. We'll get to it when we need to. And the pressure builds, and all of a sudden you got a hairball on your hands. But that's another conversation.
Yeah. It's in the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's over there.
Yeah. So now when I would teach this particular piece of information in a leadership program, I would have up on a flip chart, leadership on one side, management on the other side, leadership, management. What are the activities that we pay attention to? And leadership and management, you get all these activities, much kind of like what we've got under key activities here. Mm-hmm. Back up a little bit here, and you kind of take a look at that. Well, what's all of these things that we have on the flip chart for management? Essentially, it's the content that's in the organization.
Right.
It's the stuff that we use to produce the results that we're asked to produce. Yep. The people, the processes, the procedures, the raw material, the money. I mean, you pick something that's already existing in the organization. It's just a matter of how do we actually work with this stuff? That's the conversational focus. Yeah. That's the conversational. When you're in a meeting, you're going to hear conversation around the content of the organization.
Yeah, I love that, because that is the focus. Because in this role, in this mindset of management, you are in the meat of it. You are in the meat and potatoes of this is what we're doing. By the very nature of order, stability, predictability, and efficiency, you are in the content. You are hip deep in the content.
Yep. So a great example of a clean management process is creating detailed schedules, allocating resources to actually fill up that schedule appropriately, and then monitoring performance against targets. Did we do it or not?
Yeah. I used to tell my managers 3 things: on time, in budget, take care of your people.
Bingo.
That's it. Focus on 3 things: on time, in budget, Take care of your people.
Yep. Just fly air cover.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And
that's
good luck.
management.
And good luck.
Yeah, and good luck. We got your back here.
I
That's
got you.
management. Now, flip the script a bit,
Oh boy.
and you got something else in play here.
Yeah.
The focus of leadership is driving change. It's about innovation, creating a vision for the future. All of this stuff comes into play. Ultimately, it's about movement.
Yes.
Movement, getting things
Yes.
to move in
Yeah.
service of that worthy ideal. That worthy ideal comes into play here. We'll use language like vision, that sort of stuff. But be
Yeah.
real clear, that worthy ideal literally needs to be kind of the North Star. That's the focus. And it's about changing what we're doing today so we can get there, because what got us here won't get us there.
Yeah. And I love this statement around focus, because, as we were talking earlier, Blaine, around, and notice there's not a how in here. If you're watching this, there's no how. When you're driving change and you're creating innovation in and unto itself is new thinking. So there is no how. If I'm innovating, it is what could we be doing differently? What could we be doing new? What could we be doing more of, less of? The how in and unto itself works. Be careful with the sin of how. When how comes up in that conversation, park it. That's when you do park
Yep. Put that over there. We'll get to that later. Right now,
we'll get to how. We're going to focus on. Yeah, and it is that vision. It's it's funny. It's kind of like I think about it is that vision, even with our lives, when we create our vision statements and the goals for our lives. We know the destination. We see it, we feel it, we embody the destination. The how? Yeah. I don't have it today.
Don't have it there. And if you look at the goal of leadership, it's to guide the organization through change and towards a desired future. It's not telling them how to get there. It's kind of, think of the Old West. You've got a scout that's in front of the wagon train. You've got a scout that's out there. Yeah, and they're looking for, okay, where's the safe path through the mountains here? Where's the safe path through the wilderness? And I'll come back and I'll report. I'll say, yeah, we still got this destination in mind. Here's where we're going. You got some general idea of where we might want. You guys, you're going to have to handle the oxen. You're going to have to handle moving the stuff out of one wagon into the other, because we got to ford this river now. The desired future's out there. Away we go. That's what we're looking at.
Sorry, I'm laughing because as you were saying that, there was an old joke that came to mind. And I could paraphrase it very, very quickly. There's a manager and a leader. The leader leaves the cabin, tells the manager to wait in the door. He runs up the mountain, and about 30 seconds later, the manager hears the leader screaming. And he opens the door and he looks and he sees the manager just running as fast as he possibly can with a grizzly bear behind him. And the leader runs through the front door. The grizzly bear follows him into the cabin. The door slams, and as the leader's going out the door, he yells, "Skin it," and keeps going. May not completely apply to this scenario. However,
that's actually not a bad metaphor as well.
It's the difference between.
You want me to do what with this?
I don't know. Whoever's, if you're watching this, this is what we think of leadership.
Well, or at least that actually kind of moves us towards this, the conversational focus context.
Yeah.
If I all of a sudden, I've got the grizzly, I need to know why I need to deal with this. That's context.
That is context.
That's context.
Because it's in the room with you.
It's in the room with me. So leaders have to define the context, work with their people to understand the contextual frame, because that's what gives meaning to what we're doing.
Right. Yeah.
Everything has meaning associated with it in some way. So if you want people to actually engage contextually, you need to be able to frame this ideally in a for the sake of what? What does this make possible? Why is this important? What matters?
Yes.
I mean, all of that stuff is the focus, the conversational focus of the organization. It's not about how. I'm not going to tell you how to skin that grizzly. I am going to work with you to understand why you might want to be able to do that.
Yes.
What does it make possible?
Yep.
Those sorts of things.
Exactly. But I did, but I do like it, and it does hook into that last thought around the mindset of leadership, which is inspiring a team. And the kind of things that come along with it, like inspiring a team to embrace a new technology, to embrace new. I think, when we think about things, and we're seeing this going on with a respected organization with embracing new technologies, and they're the little bit of kind of going on with all that. Whoop. But when we see that, it is working with your team. It is inspire is not motivate. We've done inspire and motivate. Go watch that Power of You. But it is how we're inspiring. And embrace is important. Embrace means we are in it together. There is no singular embrace. Generally, but embrace means we do this together.
We do this
and the
together.
Compelling vision, for the sake of what we've talked about that. And that helps people when we have clarity on the for the sake of what. I love this last statement, which is to meaningfully contribute to the vision, to that vision. And that is their vision, the organization's vision. What is it? The for the sake of what that I'm now fully empowered on. And I can go home every day and I feel like I've contributed. My life is meaningful. And because my life is meaningful, I wake up the next morning and I'm inspired. Embedded in that last whole paragraph is all of is the nut of, as the leader, that's what you're seeking, because it's so tightly coupled in mindset and psychology.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to that point, that it lives inside of people. But now you're actually working with folks that are inspired. They're inspired by a dream. They're inspired by for the sake of what? They're inspired by a possibility. They don't have to have a motivating force out there, a carrot or a stick. It's meaningful to them. So they're going to show up. And because it's meaningful, they're going to do what needs to be done to answer the question, how? They're just going to figure it out. That's where innovation and creativity come into play. The leverage is leaders being able to inspire. Inspiration comes through possibility. That's the role of leadership.
That's such a good statement. Such a good statement. Oh, yeah.
Now, this, we started off one of the symptoms when you're not real clear on what's going on here has to do with organizational complexity, generating some very interesting fallout. Now, John Cotter, I had the privilege of working with John a number of years ago on a program we were doing with a client. Harvard professor is particularly renowned for his work on leadership and change. And this is a direct matrix, or this is a matrix that he developed that is a very simple little matrix for understanding just kind of what's required of an individual in an organization, what's required in an organization relative to management and leadership. Now, if you look at this matrix, the lower left-hand side, as you're looking at this thing, you've got very little change, very simple organization. Slow change, 1 or 2 person mom pop grocery store on the corner. Little management or leadership is required. I mean, you can just kind of fake it till you make it, sort of a deal. It's not complex enough. You don't have to assemble a team to figure it out. You can talk to people and you can actually cause movement just through conversation because it's only 1 or 2 or 3 people at the most. Okay. Little management, little leadership. You got pretty simple systems. You're probably running with QuickBooks or maybe even Quicken, from a accounting perspective. All
oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah.
Now you start adding complexity. It's still very little change in the environment going on, but you start adding complexity. Now you've got considerable management because now you've got layers. Now you've got processes, all of this stuff. But because the environment isn't changing rapidly, or, there's not a whole lot of change going on, there's not a whole lot of leadership because change involves people. Change involves people. And I remember, again, I cited the work we did with AT&T. I also remember, I did a lot of work with NTT, which was Nippon Telephone and Telegraph, in Japan. Yeah. And this also goes back to the 1980s. And NTT had their lunch handed to them. because they could not move quickly. This was also true in the banking industry. We did some work with some banking behemoths in Japan at one point in time. Very slow to move, very, very slow to move. And the market just kind of overran them. Some of the banks, got gobbled up. I mean, just all kinds of stuff, but complexity, because there wasn't leadership in place to address the changes that were required. Possibilities did not get, illuminated, and everything just kind of squashed. Now you go to the other side of the ledger. You got simple organization, but you got a whole lot of change going on. You're going to have to pay attention. That's where leadership comes in, but there's not, because it's a simple system, you can pretty quickly pivot. It's kind of like, okay, we're going to do this now. Okay. Tommy, Beth, are you on board? Yep, we're on board. Okay, here we go. So leadership is identifying possibilities, recognizing that there's some trends out there that we might want to pay some attention to. What if we did this? What if we got in front of that? That sort of thing. Yeah. But because there's not a whole lot of complexity, there's not a whole lot of processes that need to be tweaked and tuned. But you get into the complex organizations, and this is typically the kinds of organizations with whom Doland and I both work. These are organizations that have a moderate amount of complexity. They have processes. They've got departments. They've got teams that are doing some things. You're going to have considerable leadership and management, and you're going to want to know, which hat do I wear when?
Yeah.
Because processes is one thing, people is another.
Yes.
So real simple little matrix. Where do you fit on this matrix in terms of your organization?
Yeah. I really like this matrix in your explanation of it. When I was looking at it and thinking about it as a leader, as you're working with your teams, this is use this. We talk about, I love taking things that we talk about, Blaine, and just saying, use it. Put this slide up and take a look at it and say, so where are we? What is the need of the organization, of my team? Where am I right now? And help use, and it's, things are always in flow. What happens today at 8 a.m. won't be what happens today at 4 p.m. Things are always there's always a flow. But use this, overlay this on top of where you are in your organization and think about it. Because if you are in that spot where it's considerable leadership, but little management, you know which levers to pull.
Yep. And you'll begin to
pull the lever.
Pull the lever. And if you're paying attention to this, and most people are far more comfortable in a management conversation and in a management in management activities than they are with leadership. So you're going to begin to notice when you're paying attention to this, where's the blind spots for you as a leader? What muscle do you need to develop?
Really good point.
And when we start taking a look at that leadership definition, influencing in order to co-create coordinated movement in pursuit of a worthy ideal. Do I need to develop my ability to influence more effectively, which is a state of being? Do I know myself well enough to understand just kind of what's my bow weight? So we're looking at leadership, but we're looking at it through a very specific lens. Okay. You're unique as a human being, as an individual. You're unique in your role in the organization. And leadership is not about role, by the way. It's about the kind of movement that you're causing.
Right.
So can you coordinate well with others? Okay. What needs to go into that? There's a whole communication conversation that needs to actually be uncovered and worked with. Co-creation. Yeah. When you start looking at co-creation, the for the sake of what creeps in real quickly here. Why does this matter? Why does this matter? Which basically ends up defining your worthy ideal.
Right.
And all of this conspires to actually inform how you work as leaders. And then you want to have processes that support people being able to develop themselves to satisfy that. That's management.
Love that. Just love that. The great thing is, as a leader, you got to master both.
You got to master both. That's it. Which hat to wear when assumes you know how to wear both hats.
Yeah. Doesn't let you off the hook. I'm a leader.
Right.
You're not off the hook.
You're not off the hook.
Not at all.
So,
all right. I love great conversation.
This is good stuff. This power of you, we curated a library for this.
Yeah.
The whole idea of the power of you, and you'll see this when you go to the landing page where this is at. But what you'll notice is that the description is it's a repository of all things leadership. All things leadership. Now, I mentioned right at the beginning here that we've got, I think, over 30 of these in the library now. We're going to continue doing this for the, way into the foreseeable future. I mean, we could literally talk for years, I think, on leadership and have something to say about a whole lot of things coming up here. We're going to work on one on resilience. We've looked at Deming's, total quality management. What's the leadership component in total quality management, TQM? We've looked at, the 5 lies of leadership. Yeah.
Yes.
How do you shoot yourself in the foot?
Yeah. Decisions. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Decisions.
Yeah, we did a whole series on decisions.
Awareness.
Effective decisions. What's the role of decision making in leadership, because it causes movement. All of that stuff. It's all in this library. So the invitation for you is to check it out. Just check it out. See what might be there for you. Lifetime access. It's a nominal fee. We're, like I said, it's a curated library. It costs us to put it up and hold it there. But these lives, are available on our LinkedIn and Instagram channels for the duration that they will be there. They will disappear, fairly soon after they go live, or you're going to have to really go spelunking to try and find them.
Right.
Yeah. But all of these are curated and available in a library. So the invitation again will be to go find one that you're going to want to pay attention to. And this is not even close to beginning to be comprehensive here in terms of content. But you can find out more about it there. Gain access by going to leader.blainebartlett.com/power of you.
Perfect.
And you'll be able to access them immediately.
Yeah. And do that. Take advantage of it. Again, use this content regardless of the bear story. Or if you want to tell the bear story, you can.
You can tell the bear story.
But use this content. Keep it referenceable. I love your conversation, Blaine, around the 8-volume SOPs that are sitting on the shelf.
Yes.
Use this as there are tenets that we talk about in here that you can use as SOPs in leadership. Here's SOPs for leaders. So use this. Our intention is for you to use this content in that manner. Use it with your team.
Absolutely.
Take good care of your people. Create and train and build your replacement. Do a good job with that.
Yeah. The intent here is, as Doland was just mentioning, use this with your team. We wanted to provide resources that you can actually say, okay, let's watch this video this week and let's see what we can do to organize more effectively around this particular topic. Yeah.
Yeah. Great idea. Great idea. And then you don't need Blaine or me. You just phone it in. We'll be right there.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you for listening and watching to The Power of You. I'm Blaine Bartlett.
I'm Doland White.
And we appreciate the opportunity to sit with you and provide this information for you. We'll see you on the next show.
See you then. Thanks.